you got involved in the missing person case. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. I was a sergeant in the Detective Bureau of the Asbury Park Police Department, and it was shortly after Labor Day of 1982 that I got a missing persons case. And in 1982, Asbury Park was a pretty tough place, and I generally I wouldn't have paid too much attention to a missing persons case, only because most of those cases, the people show up, they go to party, and they overstay their expected return date. And this was right around Labor Day, and it was a young girl. And the report was missing, and I got the report, and it sat on my desk for maybe a day, and I got contacted by I believe it was her father, and I spoke to him on the phone, and I'm uncertain of whether I met with him or not, but what I got from those first 2 days was that this was not a typical missing persons case. This was not typical of this girl to go missing. She wasn't a partier. She was just an 18-year-old girl who came up to see a friend of hers who lived on Steiner Avenue in Neptune City. In fact, it might have been a relative, a cousin or something like that. But she came up for the Labor Day weekend, and Anna, who's the victim, and this girl left the house on Steiner Avenue in Neptune City and went to Asbury Park in her friend's car. Right outside of the Stone Pony on 2nd and Ocean, the girl told Anna that she wanted to go back to the house in Neptune City to use the bathroom. And Anna got out of the car, but she left her pocketbook in the car, and she left her shoes in the car. And I thought that was really, really unusual, but maybe not so unusual for a young 18-year-old girl who lived in the Camden area and was probably in the Asbury area for the first time. And she left with the expectation that this girl was going to go use the restroom at that house on Steiner Avenue and then return. And she would meet her right outside of the Pony on the Ocean Avenue side of Ocean Avenue, on the ocean side of Ocean Avenue. And when the girl got back, half an hour later, Anna wasn't there and never did show up. I got her shoes and her pocketbook from that girl, and I put them into evidence. And I think the best I can recollect, her father provided me with a photograph of her, and I had the photograph under a piece of glass on my desk, and it sat there until that morning. I believe it was a Saturday morning, when I read that the previous day, on Friday, I think it was January 13th or 14th of 1983, that the body of a young girl had been discovered in back of a Burger King at Sunset Avenue in Ocean Township. And the newspaper report said that the body was not identified. There was no identification on the body, and the body didn't have shoes. And I thought, oh, well, I think I might have this. And I went into the office and made a couple of telephone calls, and that's how the case started. That's how the case became a murder investigation, and no longer was a missing persons investigation. The missing person had been discovered, and she was dead.
That's a good story. I remember you telling me that morning you had walked. I guess it was a nice, as nice as it can be in January in New Jersey. that you walked down, got yourself a newspaper, and you actually you heard about it reading it in the paper, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I walked to the Quick Check in Bradley Beach.
Yeah. And after that, what was the? I guess you jumped on the phone. How did you? Did you have contacts? Did you know the investigators involved in the case and made a phone call that way? How did you notify them that you had a pretty good idea of who the victim was?
Well, I first went to my office and I notified the Ocean Township Police Department because they had the body, and they, I'm certain that they notified the prosecutor's office, and before long, we were in full swing.
Yeah.
During that investigation, we were able to establish that the body was Anna's body, and the Ocean Township Police provided a connection between Richard Biegenwald and a witness that they had developed. And the witness explained that she had seen a body. She didn't identify it as Anna, but on Labor Day weekend, she had seen a body that Richard Biegenwald had displayed to her in the garage of his house on 6th Avenue in Asbury Park, where she was living, and that he encouraged her to touch the body, tell him what it felt like, and she described it as the body of a young girl with a plastic bag tied around her head, and she was wearing a pair of blue jeans. I don't remember if she described the body as not having shoes, but she said that the jeans were unzipped and unbuttoned, and that she touched the body. She felt the leg at the urging of Biegenwald. I believe she said it felt like rubber, hard rubber.
Yeah. And that's how that witness eventually found out about the discovery of the body at approximately the same time you did via the news. And that's when she decided to come forward to authorities, because apparently she was in fear of her life, that she realized that she could put the connection between Richard Biegenwald together with the victim, Anna.
Yeah, you're right. She had been living with, this witness had been living with Biegenwald since April of 1982. And it was shortly after this incident, where she touched the body, she moved out. And she ended up living with a guy who took her on a cruise. And when they got back from the cruise, that Saturday, she read the paper and she told this guy, look, I was living with a guy, and I think this girl might be a girl that I saw and I touched. And they went to the police, and she provided a wealth of information about Biegenwald and his next door neighbor, Darren Fitzgerald. He was another bad guy.
Mm-hmm. And that witness is Teresa Smith.
Yes. Teresa was from the Philadelphia area.
Yeah, who was believed by many to be in a relationship with Richard Biegenwald as his girlfriend, even though he was married at the time.
Yeah, all the three of them were living in the bottom easterly apartment at 507 7th Avenue in Asbury Park. And I remember that I remember talk about that relationship between the three of them, but I don't remember who it was now that told me about it. But during that conversation, I was told that Biegenwald had been in prison for so long that he slept on the couch in that apartment and not in the bed of the bedroom, because he had to sleep with his back towards a wall, and he needed that couch. He needed the back of that couch to be against his back. I assumed because, you don't want to, I don't think in prison you want to face the wall at any time when you're asleep. You can't respond to something that might happen to you. So I think that's what I got from that conversation. But I listened.
That's an interesting piece that I haven't heard. This is the first time I'm hearing that.
Yeah, that he was institutionalized to that extent that he could not that he would not, but he could not sleep unless his back was next to a wall.